we get going with this showcase, so we wanted to kick off today with a showcase with Lakeshore Central. And I want to say it's upstate New York, but Lori, you would call it?
I would call it Western New York.
Western New York. I want to get that right. Western New York. They've been doing some incredible work for the last 4 years. And today has been intended to be like layers, like we're adding layers. And although Lakeshore Central has not specifically, they didn't sign up to do the pilot with the state around civic readiness, but they have been adding these layers, like deliberately, around how to use technology for good, that they have the right people on the bus. They've invited the outside community to come and learn with their students. Their students are putting all of those pillars, all of those elements into action. And because of that, wanted to make this big announcement that we, and this was a global team, we were like behind the scenes kind of saying, we want to like already give a lot, we want to celebrate work that's being done. And so Lakeshore Central is our school community award for really doing incredible, incredible things. And we're really excited about kicking off the showcase so that you can see, okay, I don't know necessarily what civic readiness is going to look like in my classroom, or we've already tried something, but like this is an opportunity to just get inspired. And so we've got that one school community award, and we'd also like to give one educator award. And Amanda, you don't know this, but you are our educator award this year because of the work that you have done. You have added layers. Last year, what you did as a middle school Spanish teacher, where your students are learning Spanish, you're embedding digital citizenship, you are solving a real problem with pure water around the world. And you added another layer this year with Eugenia and a classroom in Mexico. I mean, it's just incredible work. So we want to applaud you, and we are so happy that actually the lineup of speakers is absolutely incredible. So thank you for joining us. And honestly, I'm gonna, Michael Drezik and Deanne, Poland, I want you two to take it away, because I want to make sure that you have as much time to share your journey, to share your story. And then I know that we get to actually then transition right into Phil and Mary Lynn, because they have actually done the pilot with the state for the civic readiness. So we're going to see one district that's doing incredible stuff with digital citizenship, and then immediately right after what this pilot looked like for civic readiness. And my heart is full and happy.
All right, yes, thank you. I'm going to share my screen here, and I'm just going to go ahead and I can't see anything in the chat. So if anyone at any point wants to chime in or bring in a comment or a question, that would be great too. I'm hoping everybody can see this clearly. But I guess, you know, I'd say that it started with this hashtag. I know we didn't really realize this hashtag of the DIGCIT commit right out of the gate in our work. You know, we just focused around just digital citizenship. But I'd say, like, you know, the beginning of this in terms of what it looked like, I know for me as a tech integrator, I started this work coming out of the middle school math classroom in 2014 and trying to shape the role of like, what does good quality tech integration look like? It's always evolving from my lens. And I want to just say that we were actually inspired by a DIGCITSummit EDU that we saw in 2017 at Maine Endwell, another school in New York. And I know they have some people on here later today, you know, seeing what they were doing. And it's like, wow, I want to, you know, we need to do something like that. This is good for kids, it's good for school communities. You know, you hear the word ripple effect, and the work that they did really did create that ripple effect. And I think from there, it then took a vision, you know, and you had mentioned our assistant superintendent, and we had to get the right people on board. I think the vision was there. We had the conversation. You know, can we bring this to Lakeshore? Can we do something like this in Lakeshore? And it wasn't so much as needing permission. It's just we needed people that just wanted to go and put the stuff into action. And then there's that, you know, that word commitment. We just knew that it's something that we needed to make a commitment to, and we did. So, and Deanne, I don't know if you want to just maybe talk about this day, this planting seeds, because I know you were part of this, and you said it was early on in your tech integration journey.
Yeah, this was like our big first meeting with teachers, and even getting to this point with the teachers, we really wanted people that wanted to that we thought would want to be there, would want to make a difference, and would not just be like a one activity and call it done, but actually, you know, see it through and learn from what we were doing and keep doing it, not just, you know, do something once and stop. And it was really interesting because one of the teachers at that high school that I just felt like would be the best person to be a part of it. I also knew that it would be hard for him to commit himself to it because he's everywhere and does everything. And so as a friend of his, I sent him a message, an email, and said, I need you to do this. I know you're not going to want to because he hates missing class, and he was going to get pulled out for it. I said, but I really want you here and I really want you to be a part of this. So I'm asking you as a friend to show up and to do this. And he did not. He did. He totally came. He knew he had to come because I'd be mad at him. But I really think it changed how he taught after that. He was learning stuff that he wasn't familiar with, especially with social media things and how to use tech for good. He's definitely has been, you know, a marker and poster paper kind of guy. And now he sees the value in the technology, but he also knows, you know, that he's got to get that positive message out, you know, how they can use tech for good. And I think that was a huge changing point for him. So it's definitely been, that was our big day. That was our big moment. We got the right people on board, and a lot of those teachers are still doing the same work that we started with in the beginning. So
yeah,
and then,
it was, yep. So yeah, just getting those people in the same room from all the different school buildings, and you see the students there having a roundtable session there, and it was really like putting it into the hands of the students as well as we went on the journey. And you could see at that one table, those are a lot of students trying to basically come up with their own definition of what is digital citizenship. You know, we talk about that it means so many different things to so many different people, but just having the right conversations and planting the seeds for this thing to grow. Sorry, Dan, I don't know if you're going to add something.
yeah, no, that was our picture of our leadership class. And I really think that it changed that class. The work we've asked them to do every year as a part of this journey with us has given them opportunities that they just wouldn't have in a regular classroom. You know, they actually ran an event for teachers and administrators, and they created it from scratch, you know, and so I just think that's really, it's amazing for them to have that power.
Absolutely. And you see right here, like someone's goal was to develop a JTWA student help desk. And you can see here, you know, Deanne tweets out about hanging with the tech heads is what they called themselves, but they were a student run help desk. And, you know, from a post-it note to putting that idea into action, students wanting to try podcasting. You can see, you know, we didn't know what we were doing, but, and I know Dean's on the call right here, and we were inspired by the work that Dean and some of his other teachers that he was collaborating with student podcasts. And again, it's just that inspiration that you can get from other people. Hey, I think this would be good for our kids too. So I guess that's another message. If you have, and that's what this day is all about, is just sharing our successes, sharing our ideas, and hoping that it will, you know, reach someone else and inspire them to maybe give something a try. You can see there's the planting seeds activity. And I know we talk a lot about technology, but, you know, you walk through an elementary school hallway, you're going to see a lot of stuff hanging on the walls. It doesn't have to all be about the tech. It's about the right conversations and the right activities. You know, we say use tech for good, but when you just look at the word citizenship in general, you know, it's really about just doing good for your community. So, you know, before we got to a day where we had a full-blown DIGCITSummit, there was a lot of things that had to take place in classrooms before we could get to a day like this. And this was a day where we were just learning with and from students, a full-blown DIGCITSummit EDU. You know, we wanted to kind of model what Maine Enwell had done in 2017, and it was a lot of work, but, you know, there was just so much good in this day. So, you know, and it's on the DIGCIT Institute website. You know, there's videos. I'll even these were some of the things that were happening on that day. You could see there's different stations, students teaching teachers. They had a day off. They came in anyway. And
our teachers just loved it. Our teachers loved that the students were teaching them. Our administrators were stopping me as I was literally running between station to station that day, saying how cool it was just to see everyone, you know, and learn from the kids. And the kids took so much away from it. When we talked to them afterward, they felt empowered, you know, they presented to people, they learned stuff, they taught people things. And some of them even, some of the students, I think they were fifth graders, they did these I will statements, and they wanted to make changes in their local community. And And that day they talked about, you know, the different, was it like an animal, something to do with animals, and they wanted to collect animal things, and they wanted to have blankets, and they wanted to have things, and they wanted to have money and donations and things so that they could give it over to the animal shelter that was nearby and help, you know, and I just think that's amazing.
I just have to jump in here and just say about that Jeff Connors, the quote at the bottom, that is that teacher that Deanne like invited that really wanted nothing to do with that very first day. And then like, look at, I mean, it was like a serious transformation. And, you know, even just, I just am jumping in because to even set that up, what we did was we had in person, like before we had that big event, we met in person, but we had virtual, this is all pre-pandemic, we had virtual kind of office hours and, you know, lots of, I mean, every project, can you go back to the previous slide? Because there were like, everybody was doing, it was like an open house. Everybody was doing, like we met teachers where they were and we helped move them forward, but everybody was doing something different. And that's where it was very personalized. I know there's a talk about like a lot of authentic learning, but this, like to us, is exactly what our wish is for all students everywhere. I'm going to be quiet again.
No,
Quiet. That's funny.
No, thank you for adding that. But, you know, we just thought, you know, we're just kind of, we wanted to highlight this journey. And if you're curious to check out a video or check out that page to see more photos of what that looked like, if you scan that, that will take you right to the DIGCIT Institute page that captured a lot of moments of that day. You know, and this was pre-pandemic, you know, you'll see the packed auditorium and all of that. And, you know, it was really important to us that, I guess, when things shut down, that we just kept this momentum going in some kind of way. You can see that we have here like a student run business. We could see students using Flipgrid and using the.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
And I loved our eagle. Our kindergarten teacher at one of our schools, she was inspired by Mary Alice showing the elephant story from, where's it from, Mary Alice?
Okay, so yeah, it was like job sharing, kindergarten style. It's
Right.
Mary Jallin. If you
Yes.
don't follow her already in Scotland, it's Ellie Primary One, and she has stuffed elephants out on assignment, and to help her her youngest learners learn about the world with the world. And so it was kind of job sharing from one kindergarten classroom in Scotland to, you know,
So
Lakeshore.
we went in and we got them 2 eagles. And they named their eagles and they set up a Twitter page and they sent their eagles out with families during vacations and during weekends and during any of their travels. And then they would check in on Twitter, which was new for the teacher too. We actually had to set that up with her. So she was learning. And then they were mapping out where the eagle went. And it was just such a cool experience.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm just sharing, you know, and that idea, right. We were getting that idea from a classroom that had already put that into action in Mary Jallin's classroom in Scotland. You know, a lot of this stuff is, and that's why I love when classrooms share their ideas and put things out there into the world, because I think we could all learn so much from each other. The student run business right here, for example. I mean, a lot of these aren't our original ideas. It's like, hey, we see, you know, Margaret Atkinson down in Louisiana and her student run business through Ed Corps that inspired us to give this a try. So we're kind of hoping that this will do the same for maybe people that are tuning in here today. And then, you know, taking it beyond the classroom, here's an event that we did with the Boys and Girls Club of Lakeshore, where we really just kind of honed in on the cyberbullying aspect. And we know that cyberbullying is a facet of digital citizenship, but it's not the end all be all. But, you know, we need to have the right conversations. And I know Mary Alice led that conversation at our Boys and Girls Club. Which was an after school program, which was powerful. And then, you know, you're going to hear about being inclusive. And I love that our Seneca Nation was represented here in this I Am a Digital Citizen poster of languages around the world. And we wanted to make sure that their language was lifted up and they were represented. And, you know, they've been a part of this work as well and continue to be. So that was really important to represent our school community in this way. So, you know, and then it was another layer was trying to look at the future of work and bringing in the community. So, you know, we did all of this inside of the school. What does this look like if we bring in outside agencies and we bring in parents to learn with the students. And you could see this was an event that we held in our high school media center that was just jam-packed of people. Yeah.
This was another event that our leadership students by Jeff Connors helped us lead. They made phone calls to all the companies. They called all of these people on a phone. Like they actually had to call them. They couldn't just, send them an email or send them a text. And so they were doing things that were super out of their comfort zone. And it was fantastic because they were really proud of themselves at that night. We had a great showing. We had awesome companies come and talk about things. Brad was amazing. They were inspired by him. I still think about some of the jobs he talked about and how amazing they sound. But it was such a great community event led by our students, created by our students. We showed up to make sure everything was set, but they did it. And I think that the civic engagement right there it's real world life skills.
And I think it was, sorry, I was going to say, I think it was a great event for our parents too, because I think it opened up their eyes to some of the opportunities out there. And I think, while it was designed by kids, I think, the unintended impact of that was powerful too.
Yeah, the focus I was going to add in there was, it was a two-way learning street. Everybody that was there was learning. And usually when you invite like the experts, so this was like your local industry to come in, generally speaking, they come and they speak at you. And, these are, and what we want to inspire is these opportunities, instead of talking at anybody, we're learning with you. And that event, and then I know that the parents, everybody was learning.
Absolutely. And then, to add another layer, we see the value in intergenerational learning. And again, this was something that was inspired by another program called Cyber Seniors that was introduced to us by the DIGCIT Institute. And it's one of those things where it's like, hey, if they can do it, we can do it too. So again, this is pre-pandemic, but being able to go into the senior center and partner up our youngest, you're looking at third graders here, partnering with the seniors and teaching them how to use some of the technologies that they use to open up their world to possibilities, and just the sharing of stories and the sharing of what school was like for them versus what school is like for our kids. And it was a really powerful day. And I know Mary Alice was with us on that day, and I know Deanne was there. And I think it was just a powerful experience to be able to bridge those two generations. And then, and right about after this was probably January of maybe 2020. And then, this was February of 2020, February 18th, 2020. And we all know what happens in March of 2020 was when, things kind of, the rest of the school year looked a lot different for everybody on this call. And this was like, okay, well, what can we do to continue this momentum? We had such amazing momentum. And, this is this together well apart idea where we kind of just got everybody in and talking about, learning with the ed tech people, learning with classroom teachers, learning with support staff, learning with administration. And then the big one was learning with students. But in May of 2020, to kind of again, highlight the journey and share some of the things that were happening in classrooms and in our school. But all of this was done virtually, remote, just trying to inspire others. Through and using technology to do that. During that time, you could see we even participated in a digital citizenship, computer science education week, where, and I know Lori's on the call, we kind of collaborated on this digital citizenship escape room. And it's like, okay, how can we just use technology if we can't be together to create these learning experiences? And that was using a program called Elementary, which was fun to do. And we still use this with our students to this day. And then it was, that ripple effect is, how can we share our story in other places, or share some of the things that we're doing? And I know, whether it would be myself or Deanne or the DIGCIT Institute, sharing our journey through different conferences, events, whether it be a book. I know I put the DIGCIT Kids book in there, trying to just share. I mean, that was a Wakelet webinar that we did where we jumped on and just kind of talking about digital citizenship in general. And then Linda from Canada, obviously tuning in. So I think it's just that idea that I would hope that everybody that's part of this day, share something out, share an idea, a reflection, something that you're doing, because you never know who it might reach and inspire.
Yeah, Mary Alice and I just in February or January went to FETC. It seems like forever ago. And we actually had Jess Amato with us from Platform to Play, and we talked about our work with digital citizenship and civic readiness and the projects that we were working with at Lakeshore. But we just continue to share our story anytime we get a chance, because we get inspired by other people. So we're hoping to do the same.
Yeah, and I hope it never comes across as, oh, there they go again, there goes Lakeshore. You know, it's I don't want it to see it, you know, as like a bragging, but really just hoping that somebody can take an idea and run with it, because, you know, we feel the same when we see something out there. It's like we're taking that idea and running it with it back in our school. So, and then it was really like, then that shift kind of, you know, through this journey, trying to shift it from a digital citizenship commitment to making a digital impact. And I think that's where the civics readiness and the civics component really comes into play. And that was like the next layer that we added. But how do we really try to make an impact? And I know through all of the work that we've done so far, you know, there is an impact, but you know, that how to solve problems in local, global, and digital communities, to use tech for good, to inspire and empower others to be a digital change. You know, what does that look like on the civic side of things? So as we continued on, coming back out of COVID and getting the students back into classrooms, you know, we collaborated on a fun project with a school in South Korea, where the two classrooms published a book together. They took turns writing chapters, you know, some creative writing prompts, and then, you know, that's a book that is now in our classroom libraries. So, you know, the impact of kids seeing that their ideas can be put into print and can be shared with others. We had a good experience with Beluga and the University of Buffalo and their experiential learning network, and doing that with our business academy. And really, I'll put these two slides in here just to highlight some of the virtual field trips and that impact of like connecting kids to the real world. You can see some of those things right there. And then just this past January, we had worked with Same Here Schools and kind of bring in like the mental health component, and realizing that coming out of the pandemic, this was something that we needed to face head on. You know, it couldn't just be something that we checked the box and said that we do. Just having a really good conversation, and that's Eric Kusin, the head of the Same Here organization, and we're aiming to put this scale into place for our students, that they'll be able to have daily check-ins to see where they're at. And I know Mary Alice mentioned it in the kickoff, but going from that 1 in 5 to 5 in 5, and that we're all somewhere on that scale. And it's kind of an ongoing sliding scale. And you can see that, I mean, this was our first assembly in the, you know, coming out of COVID, and, you know, still coming out of like maybe being able to lack some of the social distancing, and to be able to get everybody in the same place and have these important conversations about mental health. And I mean, that right there was a huge impact. And then the next layer, and I know I could maybe let Deanne talk a little bit about this, because I know she's worked directly with Jess on some of these initiatives. But, you know, how do we level up our civics readiness and kind of collaborate? Beluga.
Let me talk about
Yep.
Jess's work too. So we talked to Jess about working with us, because we wanted to build communities in our classrooms that felt safe, and the students felt that they could do something different, try something different, you know, kind of step out of their comfort zone a little bit, but feel supported. And so we thought, you know, let's pull Jess Amato in, and let's see if she can help us have those students feel a little more connected to each other, and know who they are, so that they knew what they were interested in working with. And I'm excited to see this work continue, because she's got some great ideas for teachers, and helping, you know, the students build those communities and do crazy things like playing with balloons. You know, you don't think about that in the middle school, but they had a little bit of fun. But the main thing was learning about themselves and learning about how they work with others, and, you know, what they enjoyed, and if they were leaders or followers, or, you know, all of those things, and how good they were at listening. And you know, that this was one of the earlier things that we did with Jess. And I feel like there's just so much to learn from the work with her, that our teachers are only going to get better, and our students are only going to get better, because the people that we have supporting the work that we do. So
Right.
this was our step one.
Absolutely. And as they evolve into whatever their civics capstone projects look like, I think this is just such an important piece to really being self-aware, the awareness of others. What type of impact, you really got to know a lot about yourself before you tackle something like that, so you can be truly invested in it. And I think that component of it was huge. And then, here you can see our students use the Beluga platform to really learn more about the world, about global issues, everything connected back to one of the UN Sustainable Development Goals or multiple goals. And the students here researched various topics and then presented them to their class. And this was here in a grade 8 class, but to try to see like what kinds of things are they really interested, what kind of either community issues or world issues are they passionate about, and then just kind of opening up and just teaching their peers about some of these ideas, and just working on some of those public speaking skills and presenting skills. And I think some of that was probably missing in the years that we were remote. So to be able to bring that back was really neat.
And what's so nice about Beluga is there's so much information and it's constantly getting updated and added to. And so the students really do have a lot of choice when they go in and start looking for topics to research and ideas to study.
Absolutely.
Can I just say about the DIGCITSummit and platform to play? I just want to give a shout out because during the pandemic that following year, when like we were all learning and working from home, we hosted and many people that are joining us today, actually, everybody was just trying to survive, but there were people that were not just wanted to survive, but thrive. And so we did this Global Impactor Academy, and it was our inaugural one. And that's where we met DIGCITSummit, thanks to Beluga. And so when you think about adding layers, it's like making connections, adding layers, and it look at the results, from making a commitment to joining this online academy when we were all at home to like, this is what it looks like in action. It's incredible.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then, from there, it was just leveling up our digital citizenship conversations with some of these students, working directly with Mary Alice. And, this was an activity that the 8th graders did called Google Me, I Dare You. And we were inspired. I think Timmy's on the call with a speech that he gave that Mary Alice kind of shared with us about, and like, what does your digital footprint look like? What types of problems do you want to solve? And what they're doing is you're just, writing into the future, and they're creating a Buncee, and they're going to get that their senior year. And as these kids head into 9th grade, and as they kind of go down that civics pathway, and some of them may take on some type of capstone project, we were just trying to really get them to write a letter to themselves of some things that they wanted to tackle in their times in high school, and how they were going to use tech for good.
Can we have Timmy Sullivan jump on really quickly? Timmy, I hate to put you on the spot like this, but I'm so glad that you're joining us. And
really actually kind of like excited,
yes.
You are
so I'm just going to tell you about Timmy. So Timmy was our very first DIGCITSummit student speaker back in 2015. And just for some context, we've been putting on these events literally around the world since 2015. And Timmy, his presentation was always like, Google me, I dare you. And it was like, you would see all these wonderful things that Timmy was like, how he was using tech for good. And he has been to Mexico. He's been to Twitter headquarters to speak at one of our summits. He's been to the UK. So Timmy, can you jump on? Because this is really, that lesson was inspired because of you.
Sure. Hey, everyone.
Yay! Hi, Timmy.
Hi, Mary Alice.
I'm so happy to see you.
Likewise.
You are an inspiration. Talk about a ripple effect. Look at what you did early on and like the influence it still has, the impact it's still making. You want to share your story quickly?
Sure. I go way, way back with the DIGCIT family when this was a conference in Connecticut. So yeah, I got involved through my school's help desk. I wanted originally to learn how to code, and that absolutely did not happen. But I found myself in this wider family and group of people talking about the role that technology can play in schools. And I found myself really embedded in these really interesting and stimulating conversations about all of the ways that our schools can look differently, and might have to look differently in just demands for the future, right? Like schools were designed in a very particular political moment to prepare people for a very particular kind of workforce. And that's no longer our reality. That does not have to be the model that we continue to inherit and put students through. And so I was very excited to be participating in these sorts of conversations and found Mary Alice. And I feel like once you find Mary Alice, you're with her forever. So in your broad family.
And well, we also have to add that you are fluent in Spanish and you've done Google Me, I Dare You in Spanish. And this is incredible because you and I just recently reconnected and you are doing something really exciting right now that you kind of like made a prediction at Twitter headquarters that, you know, politics were in your future, right? You want to share what you're up to now?
Yes. So and since this is a civic engagement thing, I met Mary Alice before I was even able to vote. And so I think it's funny we come back at this point. I'm running for office in my home state of Massachusetts, in the district where I went to high school, where I was started getting involved in all of this kind of work, because we have some really urgent problems ahead of us. And I've always been a fan of very creative solutions, and believe that young people hold a lot of answers. So very happy to get involved in that kind of way.
Okay, I think like right now we can just go and you drop the mic, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, Timmy, just to have you add that in with this particular slide that was inspired by you so many years ago, and to see that ripple effect, you are exactly what we want for all students around the world in all classrooms in all school communities.
But I think you hit the nail on the head by saying that, you know, our young people hold a lot of these solutions and it's going to be up to them to kind of rise up and, you know, what does that civic engagement look like? And I think that's why we're having these conversations today. And I think that's how we move things forward from here. You know, I know there's a New York focus on this based on the New York State Education Department initiative. But I mean, this is something, you know, that classrooms all over the world can you know, bring to their schools. So I'm glad that Timmy, that you're able to jump in there and add that. So thank you so much. You know, and then we went into some grade 6 and grade 7 classrooms, and we had students using Buncee to create their DIGCIT profiles. We had good conversations with grade 7 about the 5, I guess we'll call them layers of being alert, balanced, inclusive, informed, and engaged. Just trying to lay that groundwork for the work ahead. And the hope is that when it's all said and done, that, you know, we've moved from making a commitment to making an impact. So that's kind of where we're at. That's our journey. That's where we are right now. And, you know, I love this graphic of that is put together for this day with the civics layers around the outside, from knowledge to skills and action to experience to mindset. And I'm hoping that more of these conversations are happening with educators, and, you know, expanding what is possible in our classrooms. And really, I put this on a laptop because it's what technology can make possible. I think that helps reach more. It helps with collaboration, helps with the sharing of ideas, helps with the creativity. I think technology is going to play a huge role in this work in some way. Well, it doesn't have to. I think it's kind of crazy to leave it out completely. And you know, where we're at right now, I think it's embracing the unknown of, you know, what is the net journey in the next couple of years that we're on. What does it look like? I have no idea. But, you know, we want to just appreciate it. And I found that graphic and really, you know, appreciate the fact that, you know, there's a chance to bring on a change. So just, that's all I have. And I don't know, Deanne, if you want to add anything to the end there, but that's kind of our Lakeshore journey. And from here, we look forward to learning with whatever all these other amazing educators have to share. So, you know, again, we can take your ideas and bring them back and expand our awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to be on this journey and continue to see our students grow and learn about being good citizens and good technology, you know, users, and like Timmy said, like to build creative solutions, you know, not just following what everyone's been doing. because obviously it's not working. So it's exciting to meet Timmy finally. We've heard a lot about you in our years of work with Mary Alice, and I can't wait to hear what all of you have to say today. I'm sure we'll be stealing some of your ideas and bringing them back to Lakeshore.
Timmy, I would love just to hear from you, because you had the right grown-ups in your life, right? Like, that made this impact, that made this type of learning experience. Like, from now you've got all this perspective, what's that, like, a big takeaway we can share today from that student perspective of what our young people need?
Oh God, that's a lot of pressure. I don't know that I can give you that answer, but the people who most definitely can give you that answer are probably your own students. Things have also shifted, right, since I've been in that kind of classroom setting. And I have absolutely no experience of what it's like to be a student having undergone the last 2 years of the pandemic, which is such a unique experience to the current cohort. And I was a big believer when I was a student of project-based learning, personalized learning, student. I guess now I just would think of it as like democratic, but I see the role of a teacher as being able to help and facilitate and be the resource and the guide to steer a lot of the learning that's going on, right? Because you can't just like put students on the internet and expect good things to happen. We're all in the room because we know that that's like not the case. So we need some sort of coach and some sort of direction, but I think students also, we need to trust that they know what they're passionate about, know what they're curious about, and that when there is that intrinsic incentive to pursue what you're interested in and what you care about, there's going to be really, really amazing results at the end of that tunnel.
Well, I am so happy. Thank you so much and the timing was perfect with that Google Me, I dare you. So again, Lakeshore Central, I thank you for being part of this incredible journey with you. And I'm looking forward to seeing what that civic readiness, like that, continuing to add that layer onto the learning that you've done.